it's not even interesting. It just shows strength is just how established that price point was before it hit us. Like it was volume established and it was price action established at 240 to 250 for 3 months and pushing, I think, 11,000 in sales. And it was there. Like, look, I mean, you're seeing like 251 on January 24th, 252 on March 15th. Like that thing was just, and that, that's a size 11 and a half. I didn't have it on all, but that, if I go to all, let me go to all, see where it was sitting in that 50 range. 252 January 24th again. 245 March 16th. So, I mean, 20,000 sales on the shoe.
That's, I was just about to mention that. So as you were talking, I went to go check sales from other dunks. So Champs colors, any guesses how many of them have sold?
I'm just going to make an overall guess right now, and I'm going to be very surprised if anybody else is in the 5 digits.
Okay, well, you're gonna be wrong on that one, but you're not too far off. So like
what is like 12K the top
5,300.
maybe?
You're at 5,300 for the Champs colors. You're at 6,400 for the St. John's. You're at 7.5 for the Sambas. And then you get to the more recent ones because they obviously raise stock too. Of course, like there's only been 4,000 Syracuse sold, which makes sense given the price action. UNLV, there's almost 11,000.
Okay.
And then Cobalt's, it's almost 8.
Yeah. I knew these were different silly numbers.
Which I mean, there's your difference because it's harder to compare to the other ones because the stock might not have matched up. But I mean, there's your number right there comparing it to the Cobalts and the UNLVs.
Yeah.
And it's not shocking that it would be doing such a significant premium over them, both in price and volume. I mean, we knew it as soon as we saw the leaks.
Yeah, that's facts. No, this is a great shoe. Guys, if you're just coming in, me and Jeff are just talking. We've been talking about buying the shoe for a while. Jeff and we've been talking about it on live streams and in chat.
I mentioned it last week.
Yeah, we've been talking about it for weeks, really. And people who DM me, which I get a ton of DMs, and I've been getting a lot of DMs about the shoe, and I'm always like, look, Jeff's going in on the shoe. I believe in the shoe. We've got a lot of owners who believe in the shoe. And it's already, since the US release, which is about a couple weeks back, 3 weeks off, we're looking at strong volume and around 10% consistent growth pace. We're talking, we're talking about here. Let me show you. I can actually add a link now. We're talking about the black and white dunk. I think really, guys, me and Jeff were talking about before we went live. If someone came to me and said, look, man, I've got 50 dunks I want to unload right now at 265, I would run to the bank. And I wouldn't run to the bank just because I think this thing's going to go nuclear. I'd run the bank because this is a factor sale. Like, I have volume paired here and I have growth potential paired here. And if I ever need to unload pairs, this is such a liquid market. And we get in a lot of scenarios where as these dunks and shoes go on, it's not as liquid as you would like to take on bigger numbers. And the liquidity for this shoe is going to be, in my opinion, kind of unmatched in terms of what we've seen from dunks for a while, because we've just been looking for a basic black and white banger.
I mean, there's been 16 sales in the last hour on StockX.
Yeah.
For a shoe that has now released weeks ago. It's great volume.
Yeah, it just really is. I mean, it's clean as shit, really. Like, I like everything about that shoe. It's just nice. It's simple.
Yeah, I mean,
but it still doesn't really look like a bum shoe either.
Yeah, I mean, there's really nothing not to like about it. If you like the dunk silhouette, It's just clean.
I mean, if I'm having a hard time and I've never worn Nikes and I've never worn any of this stuff and I've never worn any of these shoes, and I all of a sudden am in my mid-20s and I've got a new job and I've given a shit about going and, maybe trying to get in the social scene a little bit or, whatever. This is a shoe I'm gambling on. I mean, this is a shoe I'm buying. Like, hey, I mean, I feel like it also attracts someone like me who I don't buy a lot of personals, but I like nice shoes. And this is something that I can wear with a lot of things. And then it also attracts someone like you who you completely have different, you're not going to wear shit like I wear. I mean, so I think that really brings a lot of buyers to the table with this shoe. It's just everybody's okay with it for varying reasons. So,
Yeah, totally agree.
where do you think it's going to sit at? I mean, I don't know how to project a top. I feel comfortable, like I was telling you, with 350, but I don't know how to project a top.
Yeah, I mean, I think that there are 350 seems like a fair assessment with it because I think that the demand is going to be there, and it's a low top going into summer, which helps too. Where I think, well, it's the things that we don't know. Like, I don't think a ton more dunks releasing are going to negatively impact this one. But what we need to know is like how many things are similar. Like, for example, we know for a fact that the Michigan State ones are coming. I expect them to be very strong as well. Is that something where people just go for the dark green as opposed to the black? And that hurts value a little bit here. Because other than that, I mean, unless they do like a really dark navy, I don't really know what colors would truly impact it. Dark green, dark navy.
You got to worry about the Michigan
like,
boys. So we got to worry about the Michigan and then the Michigan State. They need to,
right. And then like UNC's, I think will be a banger when they release. But again, I don't see. I see them as a complement to each other, not either going to grab black and white or UNC. I don't really see it that way.
What you're saying, like that'll be the men's, I assume, because they had that.
Right, there's supposed to be a UNC men's one.
I didn't know that. Okay, cool. Yeah, that's obviously.
Yeah.
I mean, that's super silly. That's a good point. Yeah, those are good things to consider. On like, that's a good point to make about it's not the things we do know; it's usually the things we don't know. So I agree with that.
Right. So it's definitely something, and we're at the beginning of what I would say is peak like dunk wearing in terms of seasonality. So it's definitely one I feel safer about buying as compared to almost any recent release relative to price point.
Cool. All right. Let's see. I'm gonna try and be like I'm Brandon in here, but I don't know where the timer is. I was gonna write notes. I don't know how to do that though. Oh well, fuck it. All right. The Jordan 5 Stealth. Was that more of a shoe thing, or was that more of just you're in hand and people have got money in their pockets and so they're buying what's new this weekend?
Jordan 5s are like a sneaky model because if you remember last year, like when they were dropping those 5s that we liked, Fire Reds, when they first dropped top 3s, like they were moving well on apps and in person. And like it definitely cooled off on apps with the later releases, and they re-released them, and like Bel Air's was the casualty to that, where like they just got cooked. But people like ask about 5s, like they're sneaky. Like we've had some people ask us about the stealths, and like I don't know if it's we've had more people ask us about stealths in the last week than like most other non-Jordan 1 retros. And like
get it, bro.
But like, is it one of those things where, like you said, is that the look of the shoe, or is that the fact of like, because it was really limited stock around, that it's one that people missed out on, where like most of these shoes, people that are like Bel Air 5s, everybody who wanted a pair with a little footwork was able to get a pair. So that's why they kind of tanked in terms of like your street buyers, where maybe the stealth's just like people didn't get, you know? Like maybe that's what it is. Because like we didn't really talk about anthracites, but they did well release week and then they tanked. But like anthracites are back up to almost 300 in a lot of sizes.
Yeah.
And we have an 11 and a 14 in the store, and like people pick that shoe up in ass sizes.
I
Way more
mean,
people pick that shoe more up than Carmine's. Who would have thought?
wow. And what's interesting too, I mean, add it to the fucking list though, right? Like how many times have we seen across Adidas, across Nike, across Jordan, some random ass black and white model or black and gray model hit? I mean, I don't
Well, and
understand.
it's also
That's
the
got like some
ones
black
that
cat
you
vibes on it,
gotta.
you know?
Well, true, and you also have to remember we really don't talk about this enough, and I think it's something we should be talking about a little more moving forward. Is like the way that the market has gone in terms of the sellers is that so it's kind of like um cattling the sheep, where it's like you have these like AM notifies and like these big groups and these big Instagram accounts that are telling people what to do. And you
Yeah.
see it in these releases where like everybody on Twitter is bulk buying the same shoes. And that's where you see stagnation in those shoes. Where these ones like anthracite, where was your favorite bulk buyer buying those?
Yeah.
They weren't. Nobody was buying those. And
We didn't tell
what
anybody
ends
to
up
buy
happening in that situation, and what's happening in that situation is people who actually wanted the shoe are buying them and resellers aren't holding them.
Right.
So that's causing the true demand to be there versus say, UNCs, we know are bangers, of course. But like,
There's
will
a lot of
UNCs
fucking
hit a
sales for
huge,
this 5, bro. The
yeah,
anti
but like UNC ones, like how many people, everybody's buying them. Everybody's buying them to hold them. And like, will the
Are
true
people
demand?
cashing out a lot of them? I haven't been paying as much attention to like
Yeah,
what people are actually doing.
yeah, people are trying to buy UNC ones, and people are trying. I've seen bulk buyers trying to buy up cream V2s, and fire red still GS. I don't know, but anyway, point being is that maybe we should talk about like how in gambling, when the public goes one side, you go the other. Might be something we should start noticing about, like maybe not like the big ones where it's like sell UNCs, not like in that approach, but maybe like looking at a release that we may consider as low key and seeing like a shoe like stealth fives or anthracite fives and seeing like maybe this has potential long term and isn't a, and maybe it's a sell and rebuy situation versus a sell and forget about it.
No, that's a good point. I think about that a lot too. I think Dev does a good job with that with mids. I've noticed him in the chat
Yeah,
posting that out a lot. He does good with that thought
yeah,
process.
but mids to me feels like a flash in the pan versus like a true market indicator because like I don't know. Maybe because to me, in the last 3 months, I feel like there's been no noise about any mids releasing, and like your bulk buyers aren't buying them the same way, and like they're all kind of like, oh, buy this now for long holds.
Well,
It's
right, but
just I
just
don't
the
know. Maybe
concept though, not even the shoe. Like I think the concept might just have broader application. You know what I mean?
yeah, for sure.
I mean, like
I
because
agree with that.
it might even have application in like clothing. Like it might have an application in Rolexes. It might have application in so that's why I'm kind of I think it might be a transferable uh theory in different areas. Obviously that's speculative as fuck, but I'm just talking. So
Yeah. Well, and it'll be a great tester to me is to see how the Supreme jackets from last week do, because but everybody said they were dogs, and they're not doing anything right now online for sure. And I mean, they dropped at a horrible time, which is something that we talked about. I don't know if everybody else talked about it. What I saw reading was more about that it dropped around a bunch of stuff and like it wasn't a good release kind of thing.
yeah,
And Supreme North Face has been brick as opposed to like they're dropping a winter jacket in April
I don't
kind
understand
of
why
thing.
nobody else
So
catches that like that. How fucking obvious is that? Like Jesus Christ, no one talks about it ever.
yeah, I don't know. But
It's
the
fucking
point being
April. They're
is,
trying to get.
yeah. So the point being is I am curious to see when we visit that jacket in October, November, if it's still a dog or like, wow, holy shit, the Nupsy's $600 now with actual sales. Like, why was this such a, like, why did anybody buy it? And it's like, well, The people who wanted jackets on release day bought them, and then it's winter and people are like, damn, I want a new North Face jacket. I don't remember seeing this one. This one's kind of fire. It's only $500. Boom, I'm just gonna grab this.
Yeah.
Like, I
You know,
don't
I
know,
think
but I'm very curious about that one to see how it does.
this is a good segue too into the just the quick recap we were going to go over here. I'll put this in the chat. I'm just putting them all in the chat, guys, so you can see them. The UNC, like, I think, you know, I've been advocating for people to hold it, and I've been advocating for people to assess it after a month or two into the stimulus, just to see where the price action is going. And I think, you know, kind of listening to you talk and some of the theories you're saying, like, I think, you know, I'm leaning towards, you know, advocating just offing this shoe after a month or so if we don't see action from a couple of standpoints, just from the price point. And me, in my mind, if one thing in like trading in general, like if a coin or a stock has every fucking reason in the world to run and then it doesn't, that's a problem, right? So like if UNC 1.5 months in has every reason to have copied Mocha Growth, for example, you know, especially with stimulus money in here, and it's still stagnated with maybe even declining volume, I'm going to consider that as maybe like a sign of not that the shoe's going to not be worth more down the road, but that it's not going to be a good time cost of money. And then you throw in stuff like you were saying, oh, there's a Carolina Blue low. Oh, there's going to be a Carolina Blue 5. I mean, or 4.
There's going to be
right?
the 4, and then what about Hyper Royals?
Yeah.
Like, are they a close enough substitute that people? Because not only is it a close enough substitute relative to price, but also is it going to be a close enough substitute relative to, like, what's the new thing in front of me? Oh, those UNCs are the old like who like, and I love Obsidians, and I always say how they're one of my favorite GR Jordans of the last like 5 or 6 years. But like nobody's going back to buy Obsidians now. Like that shoe's cooked.
Yeah.
Because UNCs are cheaper and they're the hot, shiny new thing.
So I mean that kind of
like
maybe detracts
you
a
would
little
think,
bit.
well, like maybe a couple of years ago, the approach would be like, oh, everybody's got the UNC. I'm just going to grab, I want the older one. It's nicer and it's rare. But that's not how people think. The general public is not thinking anymore. They want the newest, hottest thing. They don't want to go back and find the old thing.
No.
They don't care.
I mean, I think
of course, there's
that's fire and
exceptions,
social media driven a lot too, you know?
For sure.
Like
I mean, people are fiending right now for Hyper Royals already.
Yeah.
Fiending. And is that a close enough substitute? Especially if Hyper Royals come out like in the low 3s, say.
Yeah.
Like that could really stagnate UNC growth.
It's going to be interesting to watch. I mean, I think that's something I'm definitely keeping an eye on. I think it is worth the risk reward of holding, like I said, for a month. And I've been advocating for a month post stimulus just because there's so much money in play. So it's a candidate. But that said, keep these things.
How about that? There's been more black and white dunks sold on StockX than UNC's. Yeah.
But that does have a lot to do with Euro doing 12K or 11K in sales from January to March.
Yeah. But still, I don't know what stock on black and white dunks are looking like, but I know UNC was so fat that it's still relative. There's no way black and white dunks are more than like, say, 100,000 in the US, if that. Like Atmos and Lapstone got their orders canceled. Like they just never got them.
Oh.
So,
I think these are trending very similar to the way the Royal Toes trended from a volume perspective last year. The UNCs are,
which is not a great indicator.
Not a great indicator on the long term, but it, you know, just from a pure volume perspective, that's where they're at. Purples weren't at this volume. Mochas were an interesting case because Mochas were a mix of Royal Toe volume and purple price action. And what I kind of thought that's what we were going to see with UNC was a mix of high volume and higher price action, but especially when paired with a stimulus. But it's kind of stagnation right now. So there's that. Let's move on. Is Jordan 9 changed the world? That was yesterday, right? So you're talking about ones that is this a candidate now? Is this a candidate of ones that we would have said to sell quick, and now this thing might have volume down the road?
I mean,
You know what I mean?
in
Like,
theory, yeah.
this theoretically fits
This
it, right?
one though, is a little more interesting because this one got benefited by a release date change.
Fact.
Whereas with Stealths in the last week, people have been hitting us up. We have a 7GS in the store, and people are asking, like, what size do you have? Do you have this size? Whatever. This one, nobody's asked me about. The only people I've heard talk about this are resellers. And not that we should be buying up or anything, just in general, I feel like this one is just way under the radar, and it's also a women's release, and it's a 9. But the thing here is that so a perfect example of this shoe was when they were supposed to release like a couple weeks ago. And when they were supposed to release, somebody asked me if I wanted a pair. And the prices then were like around retail. So I was like, we didn't even like, someone was like, oh, do you want a pair of these? I was like, I don't know, maybe. So then when the release was happening, I got hit up again, asking if I wanted a pair. And I was off rip going to just be like, nah, I'm good. And then I checked the price, and at that point they were over 300. And I was like, yeah, I'll take this for sure. So I feel like the way that this release went is what affected the price. I don't know if this, like, is there evidence of a Jordan 9 popping long term in that sense? That I don't know. Because, like, I don't feel as confident in that model specifically. Though, then again, like, the charcoal 9s are in the 250s. Like,
Literally
they
just
were
pulled that
low.
shoe up. That's literally the first shoe I pulled up. It's got 14,000 in volume. I mean,
Those pearl, whatever, those black and blue ones that dropped, they're 300 in bigger sizes. So, like, yeah, maybe this
the
is another one
photos?
to, yeah.
Fuck. Oh, no, that's photos. So that's 2002. I looked at the wrong shoe. I'm about to say, what the fuck?
Yeah, it's University Blues.
Okay, university. Oh, yeah. I looked at the photo 9s and shit's right.
Oh, the black ones. Yeah.
Oh, wow. Get the fuck out. All right. Interesting. All right, guys. So what are you telling people to do with this 9? I don't know. I mean,
So
I'm
I had that
recouping
one
some
pair.
costs from these sales because, I mean, the prices are pretty decent. So I'm at least recouping costs right now.
Yeah, I let that one rip at 315 on GOAT because I knew I was going to have it for release day. So I let that one rip. But if I had a pair at this point, depending on how many I paired, I definitely would speculate a little bit.
There you go.
For sure. Just because they clearly were limited. That's without a doubt. And they're funky looking. And we just looked at the last, like, those 9s, yeah, 250 is not great on those charcoals, but they were like, we could have cashed out people all day at 5 over retail.
Yeah.
So I feel better about this one now than I did before we had this conversation. as a speculative play, for sure.
That's a good way to put it.
But the difference between, like, I personally for the store would rather have the 5s than these because nobody's asking about this, or where people have generally asked about the 5s.
Okay, yeah, I mean, that makes sense. Bacon. I mean, it price day pumped like Dev thought it would, about 5-10%, and it has completely tanked. Pairs are borderlining 200 breakout, like for cash out. I mean, you can get, no, okay, that's wrong. They're too, oh yeah, all right. So that's a very wide range. Size 8's 210, size 11 and a half, 10, etc. is around 250. 270 for the 12s and 13s. I mean, 13s, the bigger size Air Maxes we're always going to hold. Volume 5,000 pairs or 4,500 pairs. That's pretty solid. What are your thoughts on this shoe? I mean, I would have probably I hit one pair as a 10, and it's my personal size, so I didn't sell it because I don't want to see if I want to wear it. But I would have sold these, pretty quickly on release on eBay.
They are a great shoe in person. Quality's good, looks good. They're super dope. But it's from a different, it feels like it's out of a different era. Just because of the, like, this shoe is like, if they just release this colorway as is, nobody would give a shit. It would just be a cool looking GR and it would sit on shelves. It's the reason why it has any resell is because it is a retro of one of the most like hyped Air Maxes that was super rare. But it's from an era of 2004. And it's not like Air Maxes are hot right now. In
Yeah.
general, Air Maxes are pretty cool relative to where they've been at various points. Like, it's the Dunk is the Nike model right now. It's not Air Maxes at all. So you factor in lack of hype, lack of trends with the colorway that like was a collab with a store that doesn't even have a Nike account anymore. Like, DQM is not even involved in the shoe this time.
Yeah.
Like, the box doesn't say DQM. There's nothing to do with them. So it's like, on one end, part of your brain is like, well, this is one of the most iconic colorways. Like, could it be Atmos, whatever? Like, no, it won't be, because it just is basic. It's not basic. It's cool color blocking, but there's no collab to it. It's like kind of a better version of what released last year with that inverse camo.
I mean, I think you nailed it. Is you just said the thing that matters, and the thing that matters is the Dunk is Nike's shoe right now. So
Right.
that's
And
the low top shoe.
even if Air Maxes were hot right now, maybe this would do a little better. But like, I don't see it, because like Duck camos from last year, which was like the hype Air Max shoe. I mean, 8.5, you could sell payout right now. It's like retail.
Yeah.
A year later, and the bigger sizes of 11.5 is $265.
Yeah.
So I just don't see it, and it's unfortunate, but that's just trends and how market goes. And like, look, if you really feel like Air Maxes are going to have a resurgence and this is the color that people are going to go back to, by all means, go in. Like, I mean, of course, I'm not openly cashing these out by any means, but it just feels like kind of what we expected, if you will.
Yeah, I agree with that.
And yeah, if Atmos is released tomorrow, I'm sure they would do just as well as they did last time, because that one transcends because it has elephant print and it's Atmos. At least, look, Atmos is a big name in collabs for sure. You stick Atmos' name on it, it matters on a shoe like that.
I agree with that.
So, yeah, I wouldn't even say it's disappointing. Like, I would just say it's kind of like not shocking at all, and just keep it moving.
Keep it moving. I'd agree with that. All right. We can quick talk on these Kobe's dropping tomorrow. Just off the rip, it's on undefeated. It's a Kobe undefeated. That's notoriously going to be a challenging site to get shoes on. So good luck getting pairs. But if you get pairs, I feel like you'd be really obviously happy to get the Lakers one and then the black one. Let's see, there's Lakers, Suns, Bucks, Spurs, and then the black. I think that's just pretty no-brainer shit. Like, I mean,
every Kobe right now in like size 10 up is flipping. So there's no reason to not go for them, especially in bigger sizes. I don't know what else really needs to be said.
I guess my only next question was, are you flipping these immediately? I am.
Yeah.
I don't think we're at the keep Kobe stage yet. I do like these Lakers though with the 24 on the back, but I mean, I just feel like you're going to get some pretty FOMO buyers coming in on the second they miss this release if you hit the pair.
Yep, I agree.
Big ass LA FOMO buyers. So foam runners, and then we'll probably just go ahead and finish up after that. What are you thinking about these things, like overall, the marble looking ones, and then obviously the subs we called the sub, like we called exactly what would happen. If you've noticed, the OGs have just like, they're like meeting each other, like medium pricing, like and it's not even really meeting each other because the other ones are just staying, but the Air Ats are They're on that
Oh, the bids have dissipated though. Like a 12, the lowest ask is 718. The highest bid is down to 515.
yeah,
10, 575. 11, 620. Like,
yeah. That's
yeah, I mean, let me go grab I have the moons here.
oh nice. I want to see those. I like those, man. I really like those. I wish they were type of shoe that people didn't care about. I might wear them just to beat the shit out of them. They got a bunch of sales, 2,000 sales for that shoe. See, man, that's a nice ass shoe.
It's cool. It's cool with this one. They're all one of one material. Like, I have two 11s, and like the other 11 doesn't have any of this on the toe, like here. Like
That's
this one
cool.
is. So they're all little. I mean, I haven't seen any that are major difference, but they are different. And it started as a gray, and they like painted over. That's how it looks. Like the tan is the painted part, not the gray.
Okay. That's sick. What are your thoughts on those?
I mean, I'm a sucker for all this unique looking stuff, and like I had the Errats last summer, so once I saw these, I was like, this is the one I'm keeping because they're so unique looking. I think it's just like a really cool look. In terms of price action, they have already. I'm not surprised, but I might be biased because I think that these are absolutely going to bang in the store, and it's just if you're getting the summer and like these and slides, especially because they're going to be cheaper priced a little, and like now there's been more time for people to get accustomed to this look the same way that like slides didn't bang right away. And the prices were crazy because they were so limited, but I didn't start getting hit up for them until a couple months later, where I could see these riding through the summer of like a lot of demand that I'm just for the store. I'm trying to buy up whatever I can right now. And I don't know what that means in terms of like, if you're not selling in a store and you're trying to invest in them, it's kind of going back to the other thing of like what we don't know. It's like, okay, well, I don't think based on the slides, it matters if they release 30 colors. I think it matters how many are similar to each other and how produced they are. If they're going to be as hard to get as these two were, it doesn't matter how many colors, because people are just going to eat these shits up. Because where were you buying these?
What do you price these at? Like a lot of like, not that model. I'm saying just like, what do you see people okay with paying? Like, do you see people okay paying 400 for these, 350 for these, 475 for these? Like, where do you think people are okay with that price being?
Yeah. I think I mean, you have to factor in what it is on StockX. It's like a premium kind of thing. Whereas like on the flip side, people will go to this and be like, oh, it's only 300 on there, but we have it for 425. On the other side, some people will have that mindset of last summer when the Errats were like 800 and be like, oh, they're not that bad.
Yeah.
Like I need them, whatever. So I think that 400 price range is going to be the sweet spot.
Yeah.
But I could also see these and we don't know what other colors are coming and when, other than that dark one. But like I could see sand rebounding and being $400 in like a month.
I actually kind of agree with that. I actually really agree with
Like
that.
this,
The more I'm sitting here listening to you talk,
we like this one better. We like this one better as terms of the look, but for sure the sand is going to be more popular, without question, because it's simple and clean.
Sand has, I mean, sand's already got a 20%, 25% more volume. I think.
Yeah.
Am I reading this right? Yeah. No, more. 25%. Yeah. Yeah, 25%. Yeah. 2,500 versus 2. Yeah. So, interesting, man. We might have to make some buy calls out on this one. I think I'm kind of with you on that. I think like this is kind of like it feels right now like sleeper sandal season. It feels right now like people just haven't thought about that they're going to want this fucking shoe yet. And
it's also, I think people's bias go into this when like the majority of sneaker people find this to be absolutely hideous. And like, I feel like a large majority of the population feels like they're hideous, but it doesn't matter what it matters about the buyers.
Yeah.
But people get in their feelings of like, oh, this shoe is horrible, I'm just going to sell this shit and get over it. Where it's like, that's fine, but doesn't mean there won't be value.
Oh no. And it only
For
takes
sure.
it only takes 2 weeks of 100-degree weather across the nation, and then the right person wearing them on social media, and everybody fucking flocks.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
So, all right. That's about it, guys. So, appreciate
You
it,
want
Glaus.
to talk about kyanites real quick?
Oh, fuck yeah. Thanks for reminding me of that. Yeah, let me pull them up. Those were a sell on the weekend. I think, at least. I haven't checked the price action, but that's kind of what I'm expecting here.
No, that 6.5 to 7.5 rebounded. I don't know if they ever tanked, but they're holding.
Yeah, they are. That's a really good range for that shoe too, I feel like. Yeah. I mean, this shoe is just so nice because of its retail price. It gives it a lot of price action playroom, I like to say, because the resellers who like to just move their shit can move a lot of inventory at kind of like a GR range, margin range. And then that also eats up the inventory of this non-really GR shoe, which then, if the demand is there, kind of allows true price action to grow. Because like Jeff's talked about, like these shoes, if they're not in the reseller's hands, we get to see natural price action. And I think this is a shoe that is now pretty much out of resellers' hands. I don't know too many people that are holding this shoe, and I know a lot of people who offloaded the shoe. So
I'm trying to buy them. Sell them to me, people.
yeah, well, there you go. So I think this is interesting to watch. I think the sizes that Jeff pointed out are the ones I've typically found the most value in these. I kind of like to go up to the 8.5 range because I feel like 6.5 to 8.5 draws a similar volume crowd. But 6.5 to 7.5 is definitely more of a premium range. What are your thoughts on bigs? Because I've gotten really mixed results on bigs with 700 V3s.
Like big sizes?
Yeah, like some size, some of them hit, some of them don't. Like I feel like bays have been pretty consistent. Like that size range likes to buy these at that price point.
But that wasn't the case. Like Alva's last year, the big sizes were the ones that were moving, and small sizes were the
I
lowest.
remember. Yeah, I guess I should say post
Azales were the
Alpha.
same way.
I guess I should say post
Yeah,
Alpha.
it flipped. I think it really started to flip with Safflower and Clay Brown. Like I remember when Clays came out, I only was buying 8+ from people.
Yeah.
Like I didn't touch the small sizes because it just wasn't like that for the other ones. So maybe the trend just shifted. Maybe it's the colorways that have released. I don't know, but I mean, I'm looking at Arzareth, and 11.5 to 13 is your best sizes.
Well, okay, 11.5 to 13. Interesting. So I think, and this kind of, I mean, this is not a shoe many people are holding. So I'm just going to continue to watch this because if it continues to bleed out, then I mean, I don't know. I'll just have to see what it plays. I like the price range action right now though in the smaller sizes.
I mean, if you look at Safflowers, they have pumped in 5.5 to 7. Like,
have they?
They're in the mid 4s.
Shit. Look,
I bought them around release. I bought them around release for similar price that I bought that the Kyanites are at now.
Sapphires in general have done well, just all sizes.
They've been really popular in the store too.
Those were really very attainable for a 250 to 275 range for a while.
I bought a bunch of them. I basically sold through them. From that original run, I only have left a 10, a 12.5, and a 13.
Yeah, it's impressive. So I mean, those kyanites kind of fit a little bit of the theory we're talking about in terms of just people are not holding them. And honestly, a lot of people got rid of them, and then that kind of allows true price action to take place. If this shoe continues to do volume, it's doing good volume, 5,500. Let's look at the Sapphires, Safflowers. So it's done about half the volume, a little bit, actually more, about 60% the volume of the Sapphires already. So if we continue to see volume plays with this, that could be a candidate as well.
Yeah, for sure.
Already is a candidate for Jeff. Candidates, for
Already
us,
is.
obviously us being people who don't own stores are varied a little bit from a timing perspective, because not everybody's always trying to accumulate like a store is. But that doesn't mean that targets aren't similar. So good shoe. Appreciate you getting that one in. I'll get this up on.
Those are. I've been posting it around, and if people want to sell them to me, I'm happy to pay a decent price. But those are, for me, that's my targets right now, store wise, whatever that I feel good about is black and white dunks, foam runners, and after discussing with you, my mind has been on moons until our conversation, and now I'm flipping it to sands. So I think sands are the ones that are going to perform better, and kyanites. That's my three for the store, and also where I think there's going to be good value based on people selling it now and moving it. Those are my three shoes that I'm looking at.
Good shoes. Take notes, people. All right, man. Appreciate it, Jeff. I'm gonna get this thing up here on YouTube.
So just real quick, what do you think of Ash Pearl price action? Because the small sizes are in the like 350s already.
Yeah, we
they've held like other.
That was our hold, right? Didn't we tell people that's what we wanted them to hold in the call? I'm pretty sure. I know we did after the stream.
They already are coming up a little bit again.
Jesus.
It's crazy, right?
Yeah. Wow. There's really been a resurgence of like 5 and 5.5. 5 and 5.5 like died out for a while. Those sizes are coming back. I have no clue why.
Could be a stock thing. Could be
in
Asian influence. I feel like this time of year is when the Asian buyers start buying up Yeezys again.
That's a good point.
Because like Yeshia's last year saw that happen.
Yeah,
and they dropped early in 2020.
These bays were such a go from the get-go, and they've been a great performer. That's just honestly for the way Yeezys have ran. That shoe's performing excellent.
Yeah, the blue and the pearl are both performing better than expectations.
Yeah.
In really all sizes, because like, I mean, Ash Pearls and like an 11 aren't great, but some of these like sand taupes, it was like down to 225.
Yeah. Oh, exactly. I mean, we don't even need to talk about what's happened to some of the Zions and some of the other ones. Just completely.
Yeah, in that core men's sizes, and the fact is like an 11 is the worst size at 250. Like that to me means that the shoe could, if the demand holds, it could be a 300 across the board kind of shit.
Yeah, 300 across the board shoe.
I mean, it took a long time, but if Citrons got there in most sizes, I mean, shit, with restocks and everything, Citrons now in most sizes are around 3.
The volume's decent on this. I mean, it's a trend to pay attention to. If the volume keeps up and these prices keep being decent with the Yeezys, which is a cyclical market. So Yeezys have been on the downturn for a while. It doesn't mean they'll stay that way.
Yeah, for sure. So that was my last little thing I threw in there.
No, that's a good one. Is there anything else? I don't think we've missed it. You've got like 2 of them that were good.
No, I mean, I don't know what I mean. We could talk about a bunch of random shit, but I don't know.
Yeah, that's it. That covers
that's kind of it.
All right, man.
Yeah. All right.
Appreciate it, Jeff. Thanks, guys, for showing up.
Looks like a slow weekend for us.
It is. It's slow as shit, but we did need a bunch of review right there, so that should be helpful for a lot of people.
For sure.
Definitely.
All right, man.
All right, man. Peace, guys.